Hey guys, so this is my last theory video for a while. I decided to add more tonal modal architecture to my linear centric composition language, musical language. I decided to add more in the previous video. I was um, only using Dorian and Aeolian as as color for the linear centric composition technique. But now I want to add nonlinear vertical architecture to it without it traveling too far into tonal territory. So um, now my new additional addings to this, I have kind of, I guess there's a Claridge modal system hypothesis about it. So there's some additional scales that I'll be adding to the system and more 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 findings and research and theory to add to it. So my system is or hypothesized system, it's nothing concrete because there's still much experimentation and things to be discovered in the future about it. But right now it's aligned, it's designed like this. So it's a post-tonal modal framework designed to function as a vertical coloration architecture within a fundamentally linear pitch center based compositional language. So I'm doing it like I said in the first and the second video, pitch center fields as a vehicle mutated and decorated by linear post-tonal non-species counterpoint. But now I want to add vertical coloration to it, or vertical coloration architecture without it becoming um, too tonal, or at least too vertical instead of horizontal and linear. So unlike tonal harmony, traditional musical tonal harmony of today, which derives vertically from functional chordal syntax, my modal system preserves the primacy of contrapuntal line and pitch center fields while introducing structural modal collections as keyword non-teleological harmonic scaffolding. The system integrates Dorian, Aeolian, as I was saying yesterday, but now it's and I had mentioned Phrygian didn't work yesterday, but it turns out freaking sorry for saying that right now. It turns out the Phrygian works. So there's Phrygian, and I mentioned Locrian yesterday, but now there's the added Lydian flat third scale, the acoustic Lydian dominant scale, and then non-functional, or at least non-teleological, non-functional harmonic minor scale, and selected synthetic subsets derived from Slonimsky's thesaurus of scales and melodic patterns. My modal system operates through modal field rotation around the pitch center fields that are linear, field superimposition, and controlled destabilization, thereby offering a coherent post-tonal alternative to both common practice tonality and fully symmetrical pitch systems. So first I'll talk about historical and theoretical positioning. My modal system emerged at the intersection of three traditions. The first tradition being Renaissance modal counterpoint, so mode as gravitational environment rather than chordal progression, which is what people have been, chordal progression is what tonal harmony is about mostly today. Then there's the number two, 20th century pitch center post tonality, think Bartok, Stravinsky, and Messiaen. It's hard to pronounce his last name. And then number three, linear priority compositional thinking, in which verticalities are emergent rather than generative. So I don't want the verticalities to generate, I don't want the architecture to generate. I want the architecture to just be emergent and be like a glue, a coloring of the linear horizontal horizontalities or whatever. So unlike tonal harmony, it's which is a function-driven vertical syntax, and unlike serialism, which is systematic or systemic total organization, And unlike neo-modal revivalism, which is triadic modal harmony, I'll have to do more research on that. My modal system proposes a vertically aware but horizontally generated compositional grammar. Pitch centers or pitch center fields remain structurally primary. Modal collections serve as architectural stabilizers rather than harmonic engines. And now we'll talk about foundational premises of my modal system. So number one is primacy of line. All vertical sonorities are the byproduct of independent linear trajectories. Number two, pitch center gravity without functional teleology. My pitch centers that I play exist as referential anchors, but do not imply dominant tonic resolution. Modal fields, number three, modal fields as gravitational environments. So my modes that I'm adding vertically are treated as pitch reservoirs that regulate color, density, and friction. And number four, anti-cadential operation. No obligatory leading tone resolution. Leading tones, when present, are coloristic. Number five, field rotation rather than modulation. Modal transformation occurs through pitch substitution rather than functional transition. So now we'll talk about structural taxonomy of my modal system. Tier 1, structural fields, primary architecture. These modes provide stable vertical coloration without functional dominance. So the first one is A, which is the Dorian field. Its role is neutral minor coloration, counterpoint-friendly scalar symmetry, and open gravitational stability. It's the lighter of between the Dorian, Aeolian, Phrygian, and Locrian. And I kind of referred to it as a quasi-major field before. It functions as the system's default architectural environment. That's questionable. Right now, it seems to be that I gravitate more towards Aeolian and then do Dorian inflections inside of the Aeolian context, but I have to do more experimenting with that. Either or, it doesn't seem to have too much of an impact, I don't think, on the language. B is the Aeolian field, or Aeolian modes. I use all the Dorian modes and all the Aeolian modes, so all the scales of each key for each field. And I refer to the group of keys as just one field. So the Aeolian field is increased downward gravity via a flatted sixth, denser harmonic weight, it sounds a lot darker and dramatic, and emotional compression without tonal cadence. So there's still not a tonal resolve that happens. And that's one of the keys to choosing these modes, is that I'm doing it with they don't bring a full resolve to the language or the center fields and the counterpoint. C is the Phrygian field. Its role is semitonal friction at the center of the center pitch fields. It brings linear intensification and high contrapuntal plasticity. Phrygian becomes particularly significant in my mode system due to its half step above tonic, enabling localized tension without functional implication. Now we have tier 2, which these are the color intensifiers or architectural enhancers. These fields increase brightness or chromatic density while preserving non-functionality. It's like D Lydian flatted third, or D, sorry, just D as in D as in like heading D. Not D Lydian, but just Lydian flatted third scales. They function as minor third identity with raised fourth destabilization and have luminosity without triadic consolidation. E is the acoustic scale Lydian dominant. It brings bright coloration, absence of leading tone, and avoidance of classical dominant function. F is the non-functional harmonic minor. I was experimenting with the C harmonic minor the other day with it, and it does work with this, and the other ones do too. It's just it has a constraint. It has no 5/1 articulation like most chord progressions that are popular. A lot of them follow 5/1 articulation, and and it does have a leading tone, so it does make it kind of sound as though it's out of place, but not completely. It has this like spark to it, and it's like a leading tone treated as a registral or coloristic intensifier only. Tier 3, we have destabilizing agents or fields. These fields introduce controlled erosion of tonic solidity. So we have G, which is the Locrian. This one I described as being like salt on the coloring of the center pitch center fields. Its function is triadic destabilization via diminished fifth and transitional or climactic dissolution. So now H, we have Vasilinsky derived hexatonic subsets. Um, an example subset would be one, a flatted third, skipping the second, fourth, fifth, flatted sixth, flatted seventh. Its function would be removal of scalar predictability, encouragement of intervallic expansion, and reinforcement of linear independence. My mode system selectively extracts synthetic collections that preserve pitch center, avoids symmetrical closure or resolving of that tension, and resists totalized systemization. Now I guess I'll talk about modal operations in my modal system. It replaces modulation with 3 structural procedures. Number 1 is field morphing. So there's minimal pitch alteration between adjacent modal fields. Example, a Dorian to an Aeolian has a lowered 6. This preserves center while subtly altering gravitational weight. Number 2 is dual field superimposition. Different voices inhabit different modal fields over a shared center. An example, which I haven't really practiced as much using the Dorian Aeolian vertical, but I have noticed it being present in the linear aspect of my playing, because my linear aspect of my playing naturally inclines towards Dorian inflections inside of Aeolian contexts. But the result, though, is emergent vertical hybridity without chord-based thinking. Number 3, sequential field cycling. It's large-scale architecture may proceed. An example would be Dorian to Phrygian to Lydian, flat third to Aeolian, without cadential rhetoric. This produces macro form without tonal narrative. So the way that I do the field cycling is, it's logical, but I can't explain it. Sadly, I'll just be playing, and then I'll think of a field, what would go good with, say, like a E flat field, and then I'll choose a field or a mode, and then I'll play that, and then I can cycle between the modes, going from, say, E flat to then like a G sharp, and then I kind of go between the root of the potential fields, and then I sometimes will color those fields with counterpoint if I have a counterpoint, but I'm trying to do mostly leading counterpoint and then coloring the counterpoint with the fields, but occasionally they kind of intersect. So now we'll talk about integration with linear counterpoint. My mode assumes a non-species post-tonal contrapuntal method characterized by independent registral trajectories, interval class awareness. So I guess that's what I was just talking about there. Avoidance of tertian stacking as structural determinant, and emphasis on motivic linear cells. My music is generally pretty much linear, and this whole project's about how I'm adding vertical architecture to it. So vertical sonorities are understood as temporary harmonic cross sections of independent scalar motion. Modal fields constrain pitch availability but do not prescribe harmonic function. And now I'll talk about the theoretical implications. My mode system proposes a third path between tonal functionalism, symmetrical post-tonal totalism, It reasserts the analytical relevance of pitch center and the viability of modal thinking beyond common practice revivalism and the primacy of counterpoint in post-tonal contexts. It may be understood as post-tonal modal centricity, or the second one I prefer is linear primary modal architecture, because I like to think of my playing as linear with primary modal architecture added to color the linear aspect, but sometimes I can't help but play in modal centricity decorated with linear counterpoint, primary primary linear counterpoint. So linear counterpoint to drive the vehicle of pitch tenor fields. So what do I hope to contribute to research with this? My mode lies in reframing modal collections as architectural stabilizers rather than stylistic markers. I hope to demonstrate compatibility between pitch center thinking and non-functional modal coloration, and I hope to be providing operational procedures such as field morphing, superimpositions, and cycling. And I hope to be integrating Slonimsky-derived synthetic subsets into a centric modal framework without adopting symmetrical total systems. My future research directions, um, this is not concrete, but right now at least, because this is all not a finished language, this is what breathes life into it is that it's ongoing and it's just a hypothesis right now. It's formalized interval class analysis within CMS fields, statistical study of field rotation patterns across a corpus or group of songs, registral partitioning models, expansion toward limited transposition modal hybrids, and potential pedagogical adaptation. So my conclusion is the Claridge modal system is a potential name I could call it. But it's nothing that is concrete because it's just a hypothesis. It represents a structured response to the compositional need for vertical coherence within a fundamentally linear pitch center based post-tonal language. By treating modal collections as gravitational environments rather than harmonic functions, my modal system enables controlled vertical coloration while preserving contrapuntal autonomy and avoiding teleological harmonic syntax. It is neither neotonal or serial. It's neither modal revival nor symmetrical abstraction. It is a modal architecture for post-tonal linear composition. So that's the gist of that. I wrote like a journal kind of bit about it too, explaining it. And I could read it here. Might as well get it all out of the way because I want to get to playing, and I won't be posting anymore or sharing any more songs until I have it all out of the way. Until I have the theory, until I have the theory crystallized into practice performance form. So that this article that I wrote with help, analyzing my pieces, and it introduces the Claridge modal system, a post-tonal compositional framework in which modal collections function as non-teleological vertical architectures within a fundamentally, I kind of explained it already in that. Basically, I'll just summarize it quickly. We'll go to the conclusion. For this journal piece, the modal system that I have created formalizes a compositional strategy in which modal collections function as gravitational coloration fields over a pitch-centered, contrapuntally generated musical surface by displacing functional teleology and symmetrical totalization. It reestablishes a viable modal architecture for post-tonal linear composition. It is neither tonal nor serial, as I said, neither revivalist nor purely synthetic. It's a structured modal framework for centric post-tonal practice. Core aesthetic rules. It's like pitch center is primary, the mode colors the center. It does not create tonal function. No obligatory leading tone resolution. If a leading tone exists, it is color, not teleology. Line generates verticality, so harmony is emergent, not prescriptive. Modes are center pitch fields or modes, or I would call them even fields, as I talk about the use of the different Aeolian scales or Dorian scales. All of those subsets of the Aeolian scales or the keys of Aeolian are one field. Their modes are gravitational fields, not chord sources. So one thing is to avoid thinking in stacked thirds, um, which is that's the common way of composing chord progressions in tonal music today. Um, Modal shifts may occur without cadential articulation, and architecture may rotate mid-phrase. The structural layout, again, is, as part of my summary, three modal tiers. Tier 1, structural fields, which is primary architecture. Tier 2, color intensifiers. And Tier 3, destabilizing agents. This keeps the system layered and controlled, although how much control is needed, that is questionable. But it is an internal system that is now being complemented with external architecture. So tier 1 structural fields, we have tier 1 structural fields, tier 2 color intensifiers, and tier 3 destabilizing agents. I'll be working on this probably for a couple years, crystallizing it, practicing it, and then eventually putting it into notation at some point later. But right now, my strongest suit seems to be in doing improvisational composition. And yeah, that's the gist of my theory. And there will be holes in it, most likely, and there will be things to add to it later and things to grow upon it. And I hope to present this one day in an academic way, to Euromac or something like that. And that's my goals right now. And I hope to prove the validity of this thesis with a corpus or with a group of songs over the course of years of doing crystallized practice of the showing of this language in my songs. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for sitting through all this theory stuff. I post this in hopes, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Thank you.